My quest for power continues. Come on. What's up, YouTube Grom fam? In my last video, which is referenced in the description below, I talked about whether or not the Chimera air intake and the Power Commander 5 mods were worth the money, assuming you already had an aftermarket exhaust. The verdict was that the Chimera air intake created a significant amount of speed and power improvement, but the Power Commander 5, from a performance standpoint, didn't add much, if anything. However, like I've always said, if you're going to modify the intake and exhaust on your Grom, you must find a way to richen your mixture because the stock ECU will run too lean. So, to alleviate this problem the cheapest and best way possible, I would like to present the product that will be under review today. My package you see here on my kitchen table from dhmotoring.com. They have an ECU reflashing service for only $105, which does the job of the Power Commander 5 at a third of the cost. I can't believe in all my searches for a fuel controller, I didn't even think of just reflashing the ECU. DH Motoring also has a reflashed ECU and performance cam package for $153, which is what I will be reviewing, installing, and performing a speed run on today. This speed run will be compared to my previous speed runs with the Power Commander 5 in my last video, which, like I said before, is referenced in the description below the video. Alright guys, we're here in the garage now, and I'm going to be doing a very crude and quick installation video here. Bear in mind, I am not a mechanic, and there are a lot of other people on YouTube that you can just look up really quick. If you were just to YouTube Grom cam removal, you're going to get a way better video than what I'm about to show you. The first thing you're going to need to do is remove this timing plug, remove these two, and then you're going to remove this valve cover and this valve cover. We've got the intake valve cover off. There's the exhaust valve cover, it's gone. The timing and cam cover is now gone, and that took some coaxing to get off. We've got the two timing covers or plugs off. The next thing we have to do is the cam chain tensioner. So there's your oil plug. This diagonal to the front one is the one you want. Now we want to loosen this just a little bit. This is your cam chain tensioner, believe it or not. So we're going to loosen this. We're not going to let it out. We're going to just take it out maybe 2 turns. Okay guys, so now we've got this backed out just a little bit. And by the way, this was a 14. You're going to take your 17 millimeter. We're going to turn it so you've got the T in here through your little peephole. You want this little marking to line up with that little marking right there. I'm going to point to it here. There you go. Once those are aligned, you got to pop this off. We got to just find a way to finagle this little cam sprocket off of the cam chain here. There we go. So this is the outside. Pop this bolt now. Okay, here's the little stay, and let's pay attention that it goes out, this side out, this side in, so I'm gonna set it down like this. Check those out right here. These need to come out. Get some needle nose pliers to get these out. I'm going to reach down in here to make sure this rocker arm doesn't just go falling in. I can feel it giving way. Okay, so the rocker arm came right out. Each rocker arm has this very, very small little ball bearing on it. Here's the rocker arm here. Here's your adjustment here. So these go together like so. So this is a package deal. There's your intake rocker arm right here. Here's your exhaust. So I'm going to reach down. Whoop, I felt it pop into my hand. So here's the pin for the exhaust. I'm going to set that aside in a different area from the intake because they are different. There's your exhaust right there. Focus that up. We are going to pull the cam. And there is some suction. I can't get that thing out. I don't really want to use... Oh! See? Just a little bit of persuasion from the needle nose. We're briefly back on the kitchen table. Here's the stock cam. I know for the viewers at home, you can't feel what I feel, but this cam is heavy, and it's because it's got this, I don't know, I'm guessing this is some sort of a decomp or I don't know, some extra weight here at the end. So just from a rotating mass standpoint, I mean, that thing's heavy compared to this. Probably shouldn't have slammed it down like that, huh? Here's our new David Hughes motoring cam. Again, just from a comparison standpoint here, this thing weighs significantly less, and I'm hoping that it's going to yield us a little bit more power. So I'm going to go ahead and install that now. Okay, back in the garage. This camshaft is about to enter the head of the engine, but before I do that, I'm going to give it a quick bath in some Activo castor oil 2050. I'm going to go ahead and shove this thing back home where it belongs. Just like so. You just follow the little marks. There are little marks here and make it able to just go back in like so. And I want to hear it. Oh yeah, bingo, that's your home. Okay, now we got to put the intake and exhaust rocker arms back in. So this end goes down like so. Yep, found it. Okay, there's one. The part where you adjust is up, so that was easy enough. Now the other one's going to go the other way, so this way. The flat side is going to be on this side this time. So this side, flat side, this way. Now on the other one, the flat side is this way. So exhaust, flat side this way. So we're just going to get it started like so. There we go. This way. Doing it the wrong way. Okay. Go home. I can, oh, okay, both valves are home. Okay, now we're going to put our stay pin back on. Remember this guy? Go home. Don't you want to go home? I'm going to tighten this up pretty good here, okay? I don't have a torque spec, but it's tight. Remember him? So again, when we have this on, we want to have this mark lined up with this little mark inside here. See him right here? This all has to line up. Gotta look in here and make sure we still see the T for time. So I just want to make sure I make this crystal clear. So we want the T mark in here, lining up with a little notch in here. That has to line up. And then you have to get this little notch here, on here, to line up with here. So you got the T and the mark right here. And then again over here, we got the notch in the camshaft is hooked in to the sprocket right here, and it's lining up here. Bingo. That's what we wanted. Let's get this all put back together, and I'm going to go ahead and check the valve clearances while we're here. Okay, so I got everything slapped back together. Just a quick note, both of the rocker arms, both of the valves were super loose, just flapping with this cam. So I had to tighten them up, so make sure you do a valve adjustment when you're slapping everything back together. Make sure your timing marks are all right, and the thing is cake. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this thing. The ECU is not on it yet. I'm gonna do that next, but I'm just gonna start it. I did turn the engine counterclockwise a couple times, make sure nothing was binding up, but I am gonna start it really quick and just make sure it runs. That would be good. So let's go. Oh, throwing my lamp. Alright guys, last but not least, here's the ECU. Oh, right there. All you got to do is pull off, I mean if you can do the cam, you could definitely do this. All you got to do is pull off a minimal amount of bolts, pull the plastic apart, pull this thing out, that's your stock one, and plug in your new one. The worst thing about tearing into a project late at night when you get all your chores done and you work 8 to 5 is you get done at midnight and your bike's all back together and you can't ride it. So I'll see you guys in the morning. We're gonna ride this thing, we're gonna do our speed runs, and we're gonna see if this thing makes a difference at all. Okay guys, doing my best without the mic. The power seems a little bit less linear. It seems like it's got just a little bit less on the low end, but it makes up for it about after 6. Like right there, that is insane. That is an insane improvement. Wow, I can finally talk for a second. Again, I apologize for the mic situation, guys. So my first impression is that the cam and the reflash to match the cam have added a significant amount of top end to this Grom. It's really crazy to say that a Grom has top end, but anything after about 7,000 RPM, this thing is alive. I mean, it really pulls. It pulls a lot harder than it has ever before. So I'm very excited about it. The other thing DH Motoring does is he ups the rev limiter to 10,000 RPM now. So I should be able to rev limit at 10 instead of 9 or 9.5, whatever it was. So we're actually going to test that right now, and I'm amazed how quick it'll get there in first gear. It never did before. So I'm just going to do a quick first gear pull to rev limiter just for kicks. Okay, you guys, that pull I just did from first gear from about 10 mile an hour to rev limiter was insane. Bonkers. I cannot believe what an improvement this is over the Dynajet, and at half the price. I mean, let's do that again. Oh my gosh, that is so much fun. Stoplights here, guys. I cannot believe how much faster this is, and we're only at 2.9 miles on the new ECU. I can't wait till it gets to 20, so it's only going to get better. I mean, so far, first impressions, unbelievable. Significantly better than the Dynajet. Just came up on 20 miles on the trip, so the ECU for the most part should have learned the new map. So before we do the speed run, I am going to top this thing off because amongst other rules that I'm going to go over a little bit for the speed runs, we need a full tank of fuel to keep everything the same and as consistent as possible. Just a quick tip, you guys, these things have such small tanks, 1 gallon, and then if you look at those fuel hoses, there's a lot of fuel that's left in those hoses. So I'm sitting here waiting for this Beamer to fill up because he's probably going to put in 91, and then 91 is going to be in the hose, and then I go and I fill up and I get mostly 91. Whereas if I fill up with 91 after someone that just filled up with 87, I'm going to get some 87 and then some 91. So quick tip for you. But anyway, my first impressions of the cam are it's very laggy at low RPM, especially when I'm letting out the clutch in first gear. Very laggy, but what it has there, it more than makes up for after about 6 grand. This engine comes alive. It's way louder. It just sounds different. It sounds meaner. And I mean, it is significant. So I am very, very excited about it. I'm very happy with it. I like it way better than the Dynajet, especially when it comes to price. You get way more for your money for the DH Motoring cam and the ECU. So I'm going to fill up, and then we're going to go do that speed run. Just like in the previous speed run, it is important to note that the rider is 5'11", 165 pounds. The Grom has 1,700 miles on it. All runs were performed on a full tank, on the same road, in the same direction of travel, and in a full tuck. So what's the bottom line? What does it all mean, CT? If the second previous speed run with only a Chimera intake and exhaust installed is our baseline, then an additional $153 purchasing the reflashed ECU and performance cam from DH Motoring yields us a 1.75 second faster 10 to 55 mile an hour run, which is a 14% increase. The Power Commander 5 by itself is $350. When compared to the third previous speed run with the Power Commander 5, Chimera, and exhaust, you get the same result. But where the Power Commander just put a band-aid on your air-fuel ratio, DH Motoring's cam and reflashed ECU package makes the bike almost 2 seconds faster in the 10 to 55 mile an hour speed run, for $197 less than the cost of the Power Commander 5. But the Power Commander is not alone. Other fuel controllers, such as the popular Finbro ECU, which costs $160 by itself, can't compete on a budget basis. Not to mention, with the Finbro, you have to purchase an upgraded injector, which is an additional $45, mutilate the ECU wire loom, and lose cold start capability. To summarize, I'm super happy with the results from the DH Motoring CAM and ECU reflash package. Aside from the obvious performance increase, it has given my Grom a wicked boost of power in the top end of the revs and an even more intense and aggressive engine sound. You'll notice what I'm talking about if you pick one up. The bike sounds incredible at high rev and full throttle. I hope I've given you guys that are considering options after an intake and exhaust something to think about. Guys, if you like what you saw here today, please help the channel grow by subscribing. Each subscriber means the world to me and encourages me to keep creating content. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions about the product or install, comment below. I always respond. Thanks!